Work is what you do to earn money, to live, basically. That is work to me. If I'm cleaning my house or painting or cutting the grass and all that, that's not work. That's different. Work is what you do to earn money. It's work because I go in every day and work from 11 till 8. I earn my money, I pay tax, and then I go home. So that's why I call it work. No, I don't enjoy it, but it's not the whole day. It's only, say, out of an 8-hour period, maybe you would be seeing customers for 3 or 4 hours. So the other time you wouldn't be working as such.
ನೀವು ಮಾಡಿರೋ ಕೆಲಸ ಯಾಕೆ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ? ಯಾಕೆ ಈ ತರ ಪೌರಕಾರ್ಮಿಕ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ ನೀವು?
ಪೌರಕಾರ್ಮಿಕ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದಂದ್ರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ. ನಾವು ಬೇರೆ ಕೆಲಸಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋದ್ರೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಓದಿದ್ದೀರಾ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳ್ತಾರೆ.
ಓದಿಲ್ವಲ್ಲ, ಹೋಗ್ರಮ್ಮ ನೀವು ಹೋಗೋ ಕೆಲಸ ಅದೇ ನಿಮ್ದು ಊರ್ಸೋಸೆ ಕೆಲಸ ಸರಿ ಹೋಗು ಅಂತ ಕಳಿಸ್ಬಿಟ್ಟವ್ರೆ ಮೇಡಮ್.
ಈ ಕೆಲಸದಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ಸಂತೋಷ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ನಿಮಗೆ?
ಸಂತೋಷ ಬರದೇ ಇದ್ರೇನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಸಂತೋಷ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೇನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕು.
ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಗೀತಾ?
ಬಟ್ಟೆ ಪಾತ್ರೆ ಮನೆ ಗುಡಿಸೋದು, ಒರೆಸೋದು, ಬಟ್ಟೆ ಒಗೆಯೋದು, ನೀರು ಎತ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬರೋದು.
ಮನೇಲಿ ಕಸ ಉರ್ಸೋದು, ತುಡ್ಸೋದು, ಬಟ್ಟೆ ಒಗೆಯೋದು, ನೀರು ಎತ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬರೋದು ಅಷ್ಟೇ.
ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ? ಅದು ನಿನಗೆ ಕೆಲಸನಾ, ಇದು ನಿನಗೆ ಕೆಲಸನಾ?
ಅದನ್ನು ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ವಿಧಿ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಇದನ್ನು ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲ ವಿಧಿ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಅದನ್ನು ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬೇಕು, ಇದನ್ನು ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬೇಕು. ನಮ್ಗೆ ಆರಾಮ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನಂತ ಗೊತ್ತೇ ಇಲ್ಲ ಮೇಡಮ್. ನಾವಿದ್ರೆ ತಾನೇ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗೋಕೆ.
ಇಲ್ಲ ಮೇಡಮ್, ಆರಾಮ್ ಏನಿಲ್ಲ.
I absolutely love my job, but I don't live to work. I think work is there to, fund your social life really. Friends, family, the rest of your life when you're not at work is what's important. It's just that it's better to have a job you enjoy, because you do it a lot. You're probably like a third of your life you work, and so you might as well be enjoying it. But it's not the purpose of life. The purpose of life isn't to work. You do a lot more than what's in the roles that's set out, but then also a lot of it doesn't feel like work. Hours can go by, and obviously you've done all the work before that, but it doesn't feel like work to me. Sometimes when you're showing the children something new and they get really excited about it, and the lesson might carry on longer than it should have done, and when the kids have just got an enthusiasm for it, it stops feeling like work and starts feeling a bit like fun. I know, like, you expect the enthusiasm to sort of die off and wane a little bit, but it hasn't.
The solicitors see the client off the street from the word go on their case. So they come in injured as a result of the fault of somebody else, and you can see them through from that time when they are particularly vulnerable, when they've nowhere to go, when they need somebody to assist them to get what they deserve in terms of compensation for their injuries, and they may have been off work for 6 or 9 months and they're struggling to pay the mortgage, etc. So we need to get them the compensation for the loss of earnings, etc. And to see that through to fruition, whether it be in 9 months or sometimes it takes 4 or 5 years to settle a case, that is fantastic. So you build a relationship with that particular client. It's not only a professional relationship but a personal relationship as well. So that's what I really enjoy. Really, I mean, it sounds corny, but really actually assisting people.
We have busy lives. We're up in the morning, to children to the school bus, in here, solidly working, no lunch hour. We don't go out for lunch. Straight home. We've got pets. We've got 4 pets, haven't we? 2 cats, 2 dogs, so they need walking. So life is very busy, but I think we just like being a family, don't we? And that's what we enjoy. Connell plays golf. I like to go to the gym or the spa. So we do things independently.
You've got to get the balance there, because with the particular job that we do, there would be a danger that we could come in at 6 o'clock in the morning and leave at 10 o'clock at night and still have work waiting for us the next day. So that's the way we do it. When we're out of the office and we're switched off, or at least when I am in those sort of environments, it's purely leisure, no thought of work at all.
No.
That's the only way to cope.
Work means everything to me. I like this. I like to be here and I don't want to be anywhere else. I try my best to balance my work and personal life. My children, my parents, husband, they're very understanding. They've come to understand that this is the kind of work mother does or the wife does.
But not to use the phone and when I see you put it here. It is for your safety and benefit that we tell you, not for mine.
My work will stretch beyond my work life, in fact, because I will try to help people who are involved in accidents, try to organize funds for them sometimes. At times what happens is, in case of accidents, the attendants will not come immediately to the hospital. We are the first ones to go to the hospital, ship the person or ship the injured to the hospital. Then they will need CT scans, X-rays and all this. The initial things will have to be taken care of. In that case, we will try to help them as much as possible. So for me, I don't see work as work. It doesn't stop. It doesn't stop here. I don't have one frame for my work. It stretches out.
My job is work. It doesn't feel like work quite often. I enjoy what I do. Sometimes it's very difficult, but it doesn't. Yeah, it's a privilege to be doing it and a pleasure quite most of the time. So it doesn't, in a sense, it doesn't feel like work. Some people have asked me, they've commented on my work-life balance or lack of it, quite fairly, I think. I enjoy the work very much. I like to do things well, manage patients properly, but also make a good job of things that are not directly to do with patient care. I tend to take jobs on, and probably too many at times. And I spend a fair bit of time doing those pieces of work, which does invade into home time. I start work at 7:30 and I work Monday to Friday, and I do 2 evening clinics as well. And so I don't bother with, well, I have something to eat, but lunch is a 5-minute thing, and I don't have a problem with that. I suppose I do 60 hours here, but I do a lot of work. I do a lot of work at home. I work on my computer at home, working on various documents and things. I'm looking forward to retirement. I have plans. They're not well formed yet, but I would be wanting to do something in retirement, not just to stop working. I couldn't do that.
You've got to be a dedicated person. You've got to love the job. Otherwise, you'll never be a first-class waiter. You always will be a waiter, but not a first-class waiter. Cleanliness, smile and be happy and make them people feel happy. It's really a very psychiatric job, being a waiter. You've got to understand people's needs. And, if you can understand that, then you've achieved what you want. I enjoy basically the relationship, with the customers. I enjoy, when people come to a restaurant, they don't come because they want to eat. They want also an evening, memorable evening. And they don't come just for the sake of steak and chips. They come because they like to talk to the waiter, they like to find out about you. I like to see people satisfied, and I get tremendous satisfaction, when customers come out of the restaurant and they appreciate what you've done for them. I retired a few years ago, and 6 months after retirement I started feeling restless, because especially in this job, when you do 12, 14 hours a day and suddenly you're doing nothing, you realize that I realize, not you, but that I was going a bit, you know, rusty mentally and physically. So I decided to come out of retirement and look for a job. And luckily, you know, when I came here, there was someone who said, yes, you can have a job anytime you want. And I'm still here. It's a decision that I made, and I have no problem about people spending time leisuring on the yacht or playing golf or anything else. That's a life that I choose, and that's I chose to come back to work, and here I am, and it makes me feel, you know, proud of what I'm doing.
I left school in '83. The unemployment rate for lads my age in this area was 90%. So there wasn't really much out there to look for. There was nothing to aim for. Basically it was either sport, music or crime. I chose music. I suppose the lows are the constant struggle for money, for living, but also for people to take you seriously as well. You know, if you think you're a musician, you're just messing about at it, or, you know, until of course they see you on the telly or hear you on the radio, then they're instantly your best friend. And I remember them, and they used to come in here and so on, and everyone wants to know you. But before that it was like, everyone's a musician, aren't they? Well, no, I did actually take it as a job. It was something I studied and tried to do properly. The highs were great. You're doing something you love, you're doing something you like. But it was never perceived as work as such. Maybe also because you don't get paid as a musician. That's the thing. You don't get paid up front. You're constantly working on a project to eventually have something to sell or something to perform that you then get paid for even 18 months after that. About 10 years ago, my dad was diagnosed with Parkinson's, and he also had a stroke a couple of years later. So for the last 10 years I was a carer for my dad. But obviously, as time went on, his needs became greater, and so what started off as me being a drummer who cared for my dad eventually became a carer who drummed, and then just a carer because his needs became greater. After my dad died, it was a pretty, apart from all the emotional side and the grief, on the practical side is you've gone from doing something 24 hours and something that I'd been doing for 10 years, more and more and more intensely, to nothing. You suddenly left to go, right, well, I was a musician and then I became a carer. What am I now? What do I do now? Do I go back to what I originally was, or do I carry on with what I've been doing? So there's a gap to fill. There's hours to fill in the day, there's things to do, but you can feel a bit lost as to exactly what you are, who you are, what it is. You know, sometimes your job title can describe who you are, explain who you are, and I've gone from a carer to nothing.
Have a kiss, Kim. Have a good day.
There's a lot of pressure on mothers in particular to be able to do everything, to have a career, to look after the children, and certain expectations that you've got to achieve results which are impossible, like you must work full time, but then you must also raise well-behaved, competent adult children. And I don't think that those two things are particularly compatible, because if you're at work, it's not you who's going to influence how the children are growing up. Like, you can't have so much influence if you're working full time. The children, although they can be difficult to manage, they are very rewarding because you can see them developing. You know, if you're the one at home with them, you're the only one putting effort into teaching them and helping them to develop. So every time they achieve something, you know, you can share in that achievement because you've been the one there at home with them. Housewives, I think probably by society, are considered to be just above workless households, like right at the bottom, people who are dependent on their husbands instead of being dependent on the state, and sometimes a little bit dependent on the state as well. And I think not just housewives, but all unpaid work needs to be recognised better, because I have a friend who works voluntarily. She's being told all the time she has to stop doing that and get a proper job stacking shelves in Tesco's, but what she's actually doing is making use of her qualifications. She has like 3 degrees, postgraduate qualifications, and she's a trained counsellor, and she's providing counselling for women who've been raped and abused. So I see that as much more important work for her to be doing at cost to herself than to be stacking shelves in Tesco's.